You're listening to 15 Minutes, where we feature community leaders sharing what the rest of us should know but likely don't.
Hello, everyone. Michael Renfro here. I'm the host of 15 Minutes, Share Your Voice, where we talk with top-notch lawyers as well as law firms about what it takes to grow a successful law practice. This episode is brought to you by Gladiator Law Marketing, where we deliver tailor-made services to help you accomplish your objectives and maximize your growth potential. To have a successful marketing campaign and make sure that you're getting the best ROI, your firm does need to have a better website and better content than the competitors. And at Gladiator Law Marketing, we use artificial intelligence, machine learning, as well as nearly a century now or over a century now of experience to outperform the competition. To learn more, please go to gladiatorlawmarketing.com, which should be at the bottom of the screen now. For those of you who are just listening, it's simply Gladiator Law Marketing, spelled all standard. So that's gladiatorlawmarketing.com. Or you can, by all means, you can schedule a free consultation there, or you can reach out directly to me. Email me to michael@gladiatorlawmarketing.com. With that, we do have Tricia Meyer with us today. And Trish, if you wouldn't mind introducing the folks and telling us what practice area you.
Sure, everybody. Hi, I'm Tricia Meyer. I'm the founder and managing attorney at Meyer Law. We are a business law firm helping companies in 6 main areas, which is corporate, contracts, employment, intellectual property, fundraising, and privacy.
Nice. Just out of curiosity, and this one's off the cusp, but I don't think you'll mind it. But which one do you find? Which one is the one that kind of you do most? Just out of curiosity.
Well, we're pretty evenly split, I would say. Privacy, with all the changes coming next year, we are extremely busy on the privacy front. From a contractual standpoint, I mean, every business needs contracts for all the different relationships. So we're really busy there. And we also help companies as an outsourced general counsel. And so contracts is the name of the game there. And then really all of the areas, even fundraising, there's been a slowdown, I think, in the fundraising environment, but our clients have been really busy in that space as well.
But it's time, it's time to pick it back up. Things are.
Yes, exactly. And then there's so many people starting businesses now. So from a corporate standpoint, just setting up entities, getting partnership agreements in place, things of that nature, like so important for early stage
the 6 areas with the exception really of, I would say, fundraising, the 6 areas that you do kind of lend themselves to be all the same partner or all the same client, whatever you call your folks, but really they could end up using all of those even on their first, walk in the door, particularly if they're an org, then they could easily be using you for everything. So.
Right. For a lot. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I really truly believe that we're never going to get back to normal. This is the new normal. And that means it's no different than say 1923, when they realized, okay, we're never going to get rid of this. So we just have to learn to live with it. And we're still living with that today. Right.
Yes. Right. From a work standpoint, though, we've been virtual for the past almost 13 years. So we didn't really skip a beat when everything went down. So it was, it was seamless for us.
It actually lent itself to being very advantageous for us because of the fact that we were 100% virtual from day one of the company. We'll be 10 years old, so not quite as long as you, but we'll be 10 years old here in January. And we had been virtual from day one. Yeah. And, it made it, we were able to give a lot of advice, number one, to all the attorneys that we had and we were working with, right? Yeah. And number two, we were very just quick on everything in the sense of, we didn't have to worry about understanding it. We were just worried about helping them get implemented and helping people understand that it's all virtual. So
yeah. And I think it really opened up people's eyes.
Yes, they like it. They understand. Less money, less hassle. And
more
look at the beautiful, you have that beautiful backdrop. I want to turn my camera because I want you to see that I stare. Like right now, I'm staring at Pikes Peak. That's almost 14,000, right?
I've been there. Beautiful.
So, I know. It's awesome. Yeah. So how did you get started?
So, started being a lawyer. My parents really influenced my choice. My dad was a deputy sheriff at a courthouse. And so I worked there on the summers, and he always told me I should be a judge. I didn't quite want to be a judge. I thought I wanted to be a litigator. I thought I was going to go into medical malpractice or products liability. So that's really why I went to law school. But then when I graduated from law school, I actually got two offers. One at a litigation firm making next to nothing, and another at a tech company. And I'd be working on negotiations with various networks like entertainment television and Disney and things like that. So
I
I
bet that was
thought,
a
oh,
lot of
well,
fun.
yeah, I was like, well, that could be kind of interesting. And I came out with a massive amount of loans. So with the litigation job, I was like, how would I even live?
All right.
And so I took the tech job, and that really is what shaped my career.
So
Had it
that was
not,
really the early days as well, right? That was the
yeah.
beginning, if you will, which it's funny. And I'm sure you're an attorney now for doing this for 14 years. So I'm sure that you know what I'm saying here, but almost every attorney I talk to and interview, where they start and where they are now, unless they are fresh out of law school, is always, it's a difference, because I believe every 10 years we're different people anyway. So you never know
Yeah.
where you're going to end up after you go through all that. And then you really, once you have all that knowledge under your belt and you've lived some, your views change and you're like, you know what, I really, really want to do this.
Yeah, exactly. And why would you live any day settling? Like, so I'm really big
Right.
on that and doing what you love.
You
And,
need to.
every day is a gift and time is
Yes.
precious. And I wouldn't want to be doing anything other than I'm doing today. And that's a choice.
And
And I wouldn't want to settle.
it all happens for a reason. You would
Mhm.
only be here, if you made, in my belief, had you made any different change or any different decision, excuse me, it would have changed the path. And most likely you would not be where you are today with the same, path outlining now for you. So,
That's right. And so I started off my career working at this software company in Denver. And then I
mhm.
moved back to Chicago and worked for HSBC and Discover Card and in their tech divisions. So I got really great experience
Right. You
dealing
got
with
a lot of knowledge up here of
tech
that
deals.
industry.
Yes, absolutely. And then I went on to work for a telecom company. And that experience really, I loved the legal team, but it really wasn't fulfilling me from a business standpoint. Or, it was almost like I just didn't like the dynamic between the business and legal. I'm
Was it
sure
one of
that you,
those that felt like you didn't feel like your job had quite the purpose that you wanted it to have? Let's
right. I
just
was
say it
kind
that
of
way.
treated like a roadblock by the sales guys when it was like, I'm there to help you. I'm not there to act as a roadblock. And so I was like, well, this dynamic is not going to be my life. I'm not going to be dealing with these types of relationships forever. And so that was really what caused me to say, okay, I'm going to start my own firm. I have got a lot of great experience now, and I'm going to go out and help these companies. And it just so happened that as I started the firm, there was this tech community that was growing in Chicago, and there were all of these incubators and accelerators popping up. And this was a community that I really knew nothing about. I didn't grow up around entrepreneurship
I was
or
gonna,
people starting
yeah.
businesses. But yet this community really resonated with me. So I discovered about myself that I'm really an entrepreneur at heart, but a lawyer by trade. And that is really a huge differentiator for a lawyer, especially, doing the type of work that I'm doing, helping all of these businesses. I understand the need to move things forward, but with a realistic lens and not, counseling from an area of being scared or fearful or risk.
Yeah, if I may interject, as a salesperson, um, I've been selling for 36 years, and I was told for years that I should be a litigator. Number one, because a good salesperson simply is overcoming objections, and that's really the same thing a litigator does, right?
Mhm.
Um, but it's funny because just like that's my trade, but my heart is the fact that I want to start something that has a great effect on this world, that gives something back, right?
Right.
That does something for it. Whether, regardless of what your reason is, the entrepreneurship has always been a flame that's burned quite hot in me. I'm curious, what was your biggest? So I look at them, somebody else wrote these questions. I think I'm going to rewrite this one because I don't like to call them mistakes or even pitfalls, because in my world, in the way that I believe, everything you go through that literally doesn't stop you from living in this earth. Truly, I believe in that one. Makes
Yeah.
you stronger and gives you a new gift to overcome other challenges in the future that are no longer will be challenges after this one, right?
Yeah.
So when I asked this, what was one of those things that literally taught you something so valuable that it changed the way you viewed things and the way that you move forward? It's the one about pitfalls, if you will, mistake. But which one was it that really helped you the most in becoming who you are?
Yeah, I think really understanding what the client needs, right? Lawyers get a bad rap. Okay. And so changing that narrative.
Salespeople do too.
Yeah. So changing that narrative and coming from a place of being really responsive, really transparent, really providing true value and really being their champion and cheerleader and wanting them to do really well and help them in any way that you can, whether it be from a legal standpoint, a business standpoint, or connection standpoint. I think really understanding that has led me to grow the business. So providing a lot of value, leveraging my relationships and my network and providing value there, and just working really hard.
I love that because to me it goes hand in hand with a philosophy that I have in sales that I feel like. So I've developed and developed my own processes and trained hundreds to probably 1,000 people now. Unfortunately, I'm getting up there those years. The numbers, they don't ever get smaller; they just get bigger, right? But one of the early philosophies I had, and I came up with it when I was around 28. Which, I at 28 I thought I was old, and now look at 28, obviously as kids. But and I mean no disrespect to any 28-year-old.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
But I came up with it then because salespeople they're taught, and I know lawyers are taught the same thing. They're taught to ask questions, right? These questions are vitally important. But mediocre to poor salespeople, and this could probably be said for attorneys, ask questions and then they don't listen well.
Right.
And so mine was ask questions and then, bold in big letters, all caps, listen, shut your mouth and let them speak, because you're going to get all the information that you need and to understand whether you can help this person or not. It's the same thing for an attorney. So.
And you know what else I think is so important that so many people miss is that, and it's kind of like the big secret it's obvious, but a lot of people miss is putting a follow-up process in place. So you're regularly meeting with people, you're following up, and you're doing what you say you're going to do. So many people you meet with, they say they're going to do one thing or another, and then they don't, or whatever. And sometimes people just get busy or it falls off their radar, but putting a process in place and then staying true to your word is such a differentiator.
It doesn't matter what side you're on, Trish, because I have my father drilled this one in to the point where I think one day I may just get a tattoo across my forehead because it is what I believe. It is what I live by. And I don't judge, and I love everybody. That's part of who I am and who I have to be for myself and quite frankly for other reasons. But I can still be upset and hurt, right? And one of the things that upsets me most and hurts me most is when somebody says they're going to do something and they don't. Because if I say I'm going to do it, I do it. I may be late. I tell people even in the beginning, look, I'm a Renfro. You don't know what that means, but that means we're a little late sometimes. You can expect us. We're going to be there, always guaranteed. I'm a Taurus too, which means very much so. I'm a man of my word. May 19th.
Oh, I love that. Wait, when's your birthday?
19th.
Okay, I'm the 9th.
That is awesome. My father's the 10th. So.
Oh, awesome.
Yep. And I have a lot of Gemini in me. So I will say that there's obviously a lot because I'm right there on the cusp. But
yeah, you are right. I love it.
But I'm still, Taurus at heart in many, many ways. And one of the things that Taurus take very, very seriously is, look, what we also gravitate to, I'm sure you probably know this, is that if we say something, we mean it. We really do mean it. And we will stick by you until the end. But the end is when you stop meaning what you say.
Right.
Like I can only take that so much from somebody before I'm like, I don't have any value in your words. Your words mean nothing. And the thing that my father taught me was actions speak louder than words. It's all about what you do. You can say something great and that's awesome, but unless you back it with action, it's just fluff.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Hey,
Yeah, I love that.
there's one other mistake I wanted to run through with you
Oh,
because there's
please.
a million that I could talk to you about
Right.
today.
I mean, everything I learned from this.
Yeah.
That's why I
Yeah.
don't call, they're not mistakes. They are
Right.
pivotal learning points for me. That's what they really are.
Yeah. And this is one though that I think gets missed a lot by people. So we recently launched a new business called The Clever Baby. Our first product is Jet. It's a first of its kind baby food feeder, medicine dispenser, and teether in one. It's really cool. It's the shape of
Nice.
a plane. We love it so much. And I have 6 kids. Okay. So it's right up my alley.
I have a son with a cleft lip and a cleft palate.
Oh, you do? Okay. Okay. So you could
Do
see the
you
benefit
understand that
of
everything
it.
happens for a reason? This is every single person that I actually end up interviewing, I get this great connection with, and I understand now why the ones cancel out that do. I'm like, I wasn't supposed to meet them.
Yeah, right. Everything happens for a reason. I'm
Please.
with you. I'm with you.
I apologize for interrupting, but I thought you would love to hear that when you said that you
Yeah.
help kids. Like you knew it immediately what I was talking
Yeah.
about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
So
we
this new product,
wasted
Jack.
Yeah. So what we did, the big mistake we made with the Clever Baby is we wasted a lot of time waiting on the wrong partners to bring the first product Jet to life. So we called so many manufacturers, we got so many no's. We finally found a yes, and we thought it was the perfect couple to help us. But they ended up not being the perfect couple. They built many multi-million dollar baby businesses. They were amazing. They were really helpful. We had really great conversations. Things were always going to go somewhere, but then they never went anywhere. And although I know that these people meant well, they just didn't have the time to help us. And so we wasted time on that. And so once we figured that out, like, oh my gosh, we just can't wait anymore. We have to get this product to market. We started calling other partners, and we found the right partner through a referral. I asked my network, I said, listen, does anybody know a manufacturer that could help us get this teether
Just throw it out there
manufactured?
to the universe.
Yeah, and lo and behold, we got a great introduction. They're the perfect partner, and we launched the product. So we're finally to market, but
That's
we
awesome.
wasted
Congratulations.
time. Thank you so much. But we wasted, 9 months with the wrong partner because we weren't paying. It's not that I wouldn't, I guess I wouldn't be so harsh on myself to say we weren't paying close enough attention. I think that we really thought that they were the right partner, but we had to wake up and we had to move on when we found and discovered that maybe they weren't with the same, energy and vigor as we were to get this to market. And so I think noticing that and making sure that you really do have the right partners is key. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere with your business.
Well, if I may say just a couple of things, because when I hear a story like that, and you did beat your ups, to me you're beating yourself up too much for one reason. You obviously believe in everything happens for a reason, so there's so much you learned in that experience that you're going to take forward. Number one,
Yeah.
and number two, you said it like they gave you a lot of information that clearly you weren't going to get anywhere else, and what you will now know is in the future, okay, is this just an information channel, or do I need to go ahead and quickly look elsewhere? And you will, I've been in that game. Obviously, I told you I'm an entrepreneur. I've got several things that I work on and have in my arsenal. I've been patented. So I really do
Love
know
it.
what it is. And, you many times I had the same one. I ended up floundering with a couple guys that showed so much, but they never had the passion. And I'll just give you one example. They had a meeting scheduled with a billionaire, who I know played my game. And all I had to do was get the introduction. I was like, put me in front of him, put my passion, the guy
Yeah.
that made the game and knows every single sales point, and who is also a salesman and also is a motivational speaker, if you can believe it, with all the stuttering.
I believe it.
I was like, just put me in front of them and let me do my thing. And the guy never would. So it never came to volition through that channel, because I ended up wasting so much time and belief, like you say.
Yeah.
But I learned so much from it,
That's
and
right.
I'm only here today in the happiest place that I've ever been in my life, because of the fact that I've learned all these little things along the way. And let me tell you, from the moment you came on, you look pretty damn happy, Trish. So I don't think that this is somebody I'm talking to is like, they wasted 9 whole months.
Right.
There was other things
Yeah,
you were
I'm
doing in those
onward and
9
upward.
months.
Right.
Exactly. And
I'm moving on.
there was other things. The whole company as a whole was still doing this. You might have had one line out of however many you have in your arsenal that was stagnant. It still wasn't moving down. It just wasn't moving up. And
Yeah.
now it is. So there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. That's right.
It, that kind of lends itself. Would that be your proudest moment, or do you have something separate?
So my proudest moment is I was named late last year on the Forbes Next 1000 list. And I have to tell you, I've received 27 awards, okay, over the course of my career. And I'm usually not one to even think twice about it. But that one was important to me because that one, I think, shows my differentiating factors. It
Can you
shows
say
I'm an
the name of it one more
entrepreneur.
time? I don't know if it blanked out or what. I just didn't catch the name. I apologize.
Yeah, the award.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure. Yeah. The Forbes Next 1000.
The Forbes Next 1000.
So
Thank you. Yes, I know that award. I just didn't hear. I missed the very beginning. So I was like, okay, this has got to be a good one. I just didn't hear.
Yeah. I mean, what entrepreneur wouldn't want to be recognized by Forbes?
By Forbes.
Right?
Right. Well, I mean, if you're recognized by Forbes, it's kind of the equivalent, as I would say, to like having your book picked by Oprah.
Right, exactly. And so to me, it just speaks volumes as to like how I'm different as a lawyer and how I've been able to build such an amazing business law firm with such a dream team. I mean, it
That's
really
awesome.
just highlights that, I think our responsiveness, our transparency, our authenticity, our true desire to want to help these businesses has like really just set us apart. And we've grown year over year, I think, because of that.
No, that is incredibly awesome. And I believe in one of the things that it's funny, I still have my ums and my moments, and I'm never going to stop doing that because most of the things I do, when I do them, I try to record them live because I rather have the authenticity of people seeing who I am. And I see other, content creators that will do a lot of editing where it's just the sentence and they take all that out, which I get people love. But what people tell me when they see me or talk to me on anything that I've ever done is I can feel your authenticity. I can feel what you're saying. You mean it. I mean, I've lost it on screen before where I just, and it wasn't sadness, by the way. It's usually just overwhelmed energy where, you can't hold back the emotion.
Yeah.
And you can't, I don't think, I guess maybe some of these Oscar winners would claim that they can, invoke those kind of emotions on a spur of the moment. But cue on cue. Thank you. I don't feel that. So, and I think people see that when they talk to me, and there's a lot of things that I try to do. It's a camera. But I try to, as much as I can, maintain eye contact, whether I'm talking to somebody or just, the camera.
Yeah.
Eye contact, I think, is huge. My father.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
So, who would you say is your, talking about your proudest moment? Who gave you the best piece of advice? And would that also be the same person that you would call your mentor?
Yeah. So I don't really have one mentor, but rather I meet a lot of people and I take little nuggets from everybody.
Everybody. Thank you.
I thought of a few that I could share with you here today. Okay. So there's 3 that I'm going to share. The first is from my mom, an amazing lady that passed away 15 years ago, far too young.
16?
Yeah, 15 years ago,
15.
She passed away. Yeah. But she always gave me the best advice. And her best piece of advice was take time to smell the roses. I've always been on the go, right? And now with 6 kids and a couple of businesses, I mean, we are always moving over here. And so, I always try to be really mindful of her advice and just really live in the moment and create these really great experiences for my family that we'll remember forever. Yeah.
Awesome.
The second one is from a well-known Chicago investor. And he basically told me as I was starting my business, don't try to be everything to everyone, right? Find a niche, get really good at it, and focus on that. And I thought that was a really great piece of advice. And then the last piece of advice is from Gary Vee. And there's a lot of what Gary Vee says that I can relate to and that really resonates with me. But one thing that he says all the time is don't waste time trying to convince people. And this is so true. I mean, people will either see your value or they won't. You don't want to waste time trying to convince people. Instead, you need to find the people that believe in you and what you're doing. And then the others may come around or they may not, but it really doesn't matter. Like if you're trying to convince somebody, you're wasting time.
As a salesman, I'm sure you can imagine that everything you just said there was things that if I haven't heard, then I should hear. But in this case, they're things that I've taught. And what I mean by that is now one of the things that makes me, let's just say, good at what I do is that I learned a long time ago, and I had a knack for reading people. Now, I did go through a lot of psychology starting at the age of 5 years old because my parents split up. It was a very awkward split up. This was in the 70s during a time when nobody knew about a lot of the things that were causing my parents to split up in the sense of the public eye, wasting time. And in the sales world and going through and what I've done, I learned real quick and taught people like you need to learn how to read these people. Now that was my knack. Unfortunately, not everybody has that knack.
Yeah.
But you can teach it to a certain degree. And what I mean by that is I can still tell people like, this is what I hear. This is what I hear. This is what I see. I always, like most of mine has been phone sales over my life. And I tell people you're very limited, but you're also not. You're only getting one sense, right? And that's, you can only listen to them, but people will give more away with their mouth than anything else. Now they'll give a lot away with body language. And I always love to have that. And now when I can do Zoom calls, I'll take the advantage and do it because their body language many times will give me obviously an extra either in the plus or negative. But what's funny, I'll tell you this, and as much as I say I'll do it, I still end up preferring the call without the Zoom, without the screen when I'm talking to a prospective client, especially the first time, because I actually still just hear more because I rely on just hearing everything they say. And I even tell them many times if they come on with the camera, I will say to them, hey, do you mind while I'm presenting to you and while I'm showing you things, I want to turn that camera off because it's just more of a distraction for me. We both end up looking at it and we don't need to. I'd rather you look at the screen and what I'm showing you, and then I will listen for the responses and we can talk to each other a little bit later. And I'll use that talking to each other point maybe in the end, just to, when I'm asking some closing questions, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's a different, scenario. So everything you said there, the wasting the time was one of the biggest ones. And I feel like you have to learn how to do that. Obviously, some of it can be taught. Some of it, once you learn it, you just have to go with your own skills and start to really become an investigator is what I tell people, and really listen to every word, every inflection of every word, the pauses, the amount of pause. It all matters. It's so much psychology. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's who I've become over the years to really know who I'm talking to on the other side of the phone within 30 seconds to 60 seconds, right?
Yes.
Is this worth continuing?
Right.
And then even 5 minutes later, how do I say it? I'm constantly evaluating it, right? Reevaluating, is this worth it?
Yeah. Right.
And there's times where I really go after somebody. I know it's inappropriate to drink my coffee, but I'm an inappropriate kind of guy.
Enjoy your coffee.
The one thing that I have also learned is when you can smell that they want to be with you, but something's holding them back, then go with it. And if I go with it now, I know it's always, first of all, I truly believe in everything happens the way it's supposed to. So when I feel like I'm supposed to go with it, I go with it. When I feel like it's that it's a waste of my time and it wasn't worthy, I don't. And I would say 90% of the time I'm on target. And, very rarely now do I get that call where I thought I was wasting my time, so I didn't reach out to them again. All of a sudden, 2 months later, I get a call. It's like happened twice in 4 years.
Yeah.
So I'm not missing them, right?
Right.
So to me, it's a balance, but you're absolutely right. You have to know when. My saying for that same scenarios was you have to know when to cut your ties, cut your loss, and move on to the next person. Period.
Exactly.
So I mean, and it goes hand in hand.
And then you don't want to work with somebody that doesn't see your value. Like
I also
right? That is the worst.
One of the things I love about Adam, my CEO, and it's a family group. So there's Adam Draper, there's Lisa Vaughn, and then there is their mother. I can't think of her name right now. I don't really work with her, but she's the senior editor. She used to be the clerk of court for a federal judge for over 20 years in Kentucky, which is why she's our senior editor.
Nice.
But one of the things that this family and this company believes in is that we really want to work with the right partners. If someone, like you say, doesn't see our value, or we're trying to convince them of the value, then that's how it's going to be for the entire relationship. That is never going to stop. It's going to be a harder person to please, even though, because no matter what happens, you end up getting a few of these without trying. It just happens because you get the good with the bad, right?
Right.
The good typically overwhelms the bad. That's just how it is. Like a 10-to-1 kind of ratio is what I feel. But at the same time, there's always that one, and you're like, you learn to find out, like, man, there was some signs. I should have just let that guy go. I should have just, I should have let it. There was too many
writings on the wall.
I'm going to be a pain in your butt, and I'm not going to see your value, even though we, like, for an instance, got someone to the front page in the top 5. You really can't ask much better for an SEO company. That's where the money is, you know. And they're like, and we even tell them it takes 12 months to 18 months. We did it in exactly 12 months. Wow. Like, that's on our best. That's why we give that. Like, sometimes it can happen that quick. It really all depends on the starting point. Still wasn't happy. So you never, like you say, you never know who you're not going to please.
Right.
And you can read the writing on the wall if you pay attention.
Yes, you can. And run the other way.
Yes. There's so many scenarios I would like to tell you about, but those are probably inappropriate. But you got to run the other way whenever you see those.
Yeah, for sure.
So here's a fun one. What would you say? I'm going to change it up, actually, and ask you this one last. So real quick, what would be software tools that you use the most that you could pass on to other attorneys that you find very useful, and why?
Yes, I'll give you 3. One is Clio. We've been using it for years and years and years to just
CLEO, right?
CLIO.
Oh, CLI. I'm sorry,
CLIO.
that's right. I'm familiar with them, but I had it wrong in my head. But
yeah, no problem. They're so we track all of our matters and our client information in there and all of that. And now they have another portion of it that's for the biz dev portion. Before, that only used to be for client stuff. Now it's for pre-client and client stuff. So now we're on just
so you can track
platform
from beginning to end.
Before, we had to be on 2 separate platforms.
Right. You had started here and then transfer over once they got it.
Yeah, it was annoying. So I'm glad that they rolled out this new portion, but they just got, I think, an investment. So it's great because they'll build out their product even more. And I know a lot of attorneys use it. So that's a really great one for attorneys. And 2 others that we use just for organization and tracking things are Trello, which I love.
Love Trello.
And then we just started using Monday this year.
Don't know that one. Is it literally spelled exactly like the day?
It is. It's okay. So if I'm being honest, I mean, I wish they would have thought of another name. Every time I'm talking to my team about Monday, they're like, oh, okay, do it on Monday. I'm like, no. We're not talking about the day Monday. We're talking about
I think they wanted to have fun with people. They knew this was going to happen. They're like, it's going to make them talk so much about our name that there's no way they'll forget it.
Yeah, exactly. But we love it because it's easy for task tracking, and they have really
so
great.
Is it similar to like Slack or Microsoft Teams? Is it that kind of a sharing platform, or what is it?
No, we use Slack too. Slack is more like kind of community info, if you will, for us anyway.
Right.
Whereas Monday's
internal.
It's more internal, specific tasks for people that they have to do and work on, so we don't lose track of.
So it is kind of similar to Trello.
It is similar to Trello, except you're able to, except the way you're able to assign out tasks and build out the boards is a little
different. Okay.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it.
So those are my 3 top favorites.
No, I was actually just recently turned on an outside project, not with Gladiator, onto so I was pronouncing it wrong. Say Trello. Am I saying it right now? Trello. Yeah, and it's funny because I looked at them before. They've been around for a while, and they have their hands in quite a bit. So
they do.
They got bought too, I think, for a couple billion.
They did. Yeah, They're doing great.
Oh yeah, they're very happy campers.
Yeah.
So my last question for you then is what is a take us through like an average day and give us some of the rituals that you find the most invaluable, if you will, the ones you couldn't do without, like a typical day.
Okay. So I'll talk about the ritual first because it fits in somewhere within my crazy day, which I'll explain next. So every day I really take the time to think about what I'm thankful for. Like I am big on gratitude. I think it's incredibly powerful. And I every day think about things I'm thankful for. So that is a ritual that I do every single day.
Grateful, thankful, blessed. I got it.
Yes.
It's literally it's staring at me right here. I have another one that says one small positive thought in the morning. I always read that one because it changes the whole day. You start the day off with positive thoughts, but keep going, please. I love it.
I love it.
I'm sorry.
So, that's okay. I love it. So for a typical day for me, there isn't really a typical day because my days are
that tells you what your day is going to be right there. You get grateful and then you're like, okay, what? You let the day kind of come to you.
Yeah. I mean, I know like there's certain things that I have to get done within a certain day. And so I'll plan for that. But I also have 6 kids.
That's what Trilio's for.
Yeah. And so, and you know, with my position, I have the beauty to work from wherever, whenever, look where I'm at. Right. And so that is great. And I'm up early. I'm one of those people that don't need a lot of sleep. So I'm up by 4:30 and I'm pretty much moving and grooving until my head hits the pillow. So every day brings a new adventure. I wouldn't change it for anything. I get to spend a lot of time with my family and kids in addition to doing work that I love.
Well, I have to share a few things that I meant to share earlier. So one, I have 4 boys that are blood boys. I have a 5th one that calls me father for the last 4 years because he moved out here with us. And he is, as he said, and this was where one of those moments I might end up losing. I will try not to, but as he said, I gave him the ability to understand what family was about.
Oh, that's so awesome.
He is my 5th boy. I have all boys. I couldn't. God knew who I was before I started making children, as I tell everybody. So he's like, "Hey, you're not gonna have a girl." I would have probably had her in a gilded cage amongst other things. So I don't have any girls, but funny enough, I have 4 sisters. But
oh wow,
I am the oldest though of my family, or of my father's nuclear family, if you will. I'm actually the oldest of my generation too. I was the first one born to all the siblings of my father, so I was the start. But that's a whole other story. We won't make it about me. But I love the family stuff and the way you said that because we really do have so much in common. I plan things out and I know that I have deadlines, but every day I kind of allow to just, knowing it's like I have these checkpoints that I will get to. I don't know exactly how I'm going to get to them until I've done my little 35 to 40-minute ritual of the day that is always the same. That part is, I start out the same. There's water involved, reading these. I never check emails or any of that stuff. Like, I mean, I might glance and see, but I won't open an email. If that makes sense. I'll look at the inbox and see, okay, that's like usually within the first 5 minutes of getting up and having water, only to see if there's anything important that I'm going to need to get to address right away. So part of that ritual for me decides where the day is going to go,
Yeah.
And the family thing is so important. It's I don't think I never understood it until, because if you had talked to me at 27, a year before I became a father, I would have told you I'm never having kids. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. And here you are, 5 kids. That's awesome.
That's why I say
love it.
You never know what's going. Well, the first 2, I got twins right out of the gate.
Oh, nice.
So that kind of started things off in a very fast way. I won't use the word shotgun because that gets so misappropriated. So
yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
No, that is great. Listen, I loved having you, and I would absolutely like to think that you'd be okay with maybe us reaching out again in a year and kind of touching base again and seeing where things are at.
Yeah, let's do that. That'll be great. And thank you so much for taking the time and having me. I appreciate it. Oh,
no, absolutely. I truly live my life. In fact, if you'd like to link up on LinkedIn, I would love to have you as a connection. It's simply Michael, I think Michael S. Renfro, but you'll clearly know it's me. It is an older picture before I lost about 85 pounds. So it's a black and white picture of me kind of looking like a rock star. Had longer hair. It's getting curlier now. Like this was not curly 4 years ago. It has to do,
wow.
and my son too, Skylar, one of the twins, his has gone even curlier. And it's been since we moved out here. So it has to be what the altitude is doing to our hair. Cause I don't know if you know this, but the high altitude also makes your nails grow faster and your hair grow faster. So I would imagine that it could possibly, without the humidity, maybe it's allowing it to do what it would have done without the years of humidity on top of it. I don't know.
Interesting.
But all of a sudden I have curly hair on the top of my head.
Yeah.
So it's not that, it's just wavy. When you see me, it was like me about maybe a year, having been here a year. So, but it's easy to find. The only thing I was going to say is I truly believe in everything happens for a reason. That's why I know when I end up interviewing somebody, there's going to be an awesome connection and have the number of things that are so similar here. I can't even begin to tell you. It was awesome listening to you because I'm like, yes. Yeah, it was, I fancy myself a preacher in my off time in the sense of not religious in that sense, more preaching philosophy, if that makes sense, right? And storytelling. So I try to share those things with people that have allowed me to finally be happy. And I can tell when I meet somebody who's actually happy, because there's very few of us, Trish, in this world who are truly happy with ourselves.
Yeah,
right?
I agree. There's a lot of people that are settling, a lot of people that are also making excuses and limiting themselves
if
when
they
shouldn't
don't
be.
And when you do that, I tried to tell someone the other day, I tried to explain it to people like this. There's a difference between loving yourself and loving your persona.
Mm-hmm.
If you're loving your persona, you're usually stagnant and not moving forward because you're loving something that you're doing for other people.
Right.
If you love yourself for the own accomplishments and the things that you do, then your strangeness, your gifts, whatever you want to call it, they will shine and the world will see them.
Right.
It's just that simple.
I agree. Well, thank you so much again. I appreciate it. So great meeting you.
I really hope you connect. I would love to carry on some conversations over the next year because I think, quite frankly, you could probably teach me quite a few things, especially since you actually run a business that takes care of. And I do have some projects on the horizon, and I'm being very sincere that obviously Gladiator cannot help me with because they are not attorneys, just market them.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to talk with you about it and help you. Anything I can do.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Have a wonderful is it afternoon there for you now or no?
It is. Yeah. It's coming up on 1:00.
It's beautiful back there, by the way. It's just such a gorgeous backdrop.
It is. Thank you very much. I still can't believe it's my backyard. I'm telling you, every day I'm like, wait, what are we doing
here? I had that down in Florida for some years, but I can't express to you. And it's my front yard is Pikes Peak and the whole ridge. It's Colorado Springs, right?
Yes,
so you know what I'm talking about.
There.
Like I got that whole,
gorgeous.
I'm just like, that's the Rockies, man.
Yeah.
And I mean, I lived in Asheville, but Asheville was not, they're beautiful. They are gorgeous. There's nothing like the Smokies at 6 a.m. in the morning. By the way, that's the other thing. The only difference is I'm up to like 1:32 and then get up at like, somewhere between 7, as early as 6:30 and as late as like maybe 8, but I don't, everybody else gets more sleep than me. Put it that way. It's been that way my whole life. I don't know when it's going to change.
Yeah.
It's also ADHD. So part of me going with my ADHD is I don't medicate it. I don't believe in pills anymore. I try to do all natural of any kind, no matter what it is. Yeah. And I allow the ADHD, and just between you and me, since this is now off record, between ADHD and God, I'm going to go exactly where I need to go.
Yes, exactly.
So have a wonderful day. It was honestly an absolute pleasure.
So nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Have a great day. Bye.
Thanks for listening to 15 Minutes. Be sure to subscribe and we'll see you next time.